I am going to call to order the regular meeting of the Police Commission on Monday, May 8th. Let us start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Spicer, could you please read our correspondence?
I'd be happy to. Police Commission, May 8th, 2023, summary of letters received from local veterinary practice regarding Detective Devon, Animal Control Officer Clark. Subject, the veterinary practice wanted to thank both Detective Devon and Animal Control Officer Clark for their dedication to caring for pets and serving the community. Next, received from resident regarding Officer Cruz. Subject, the resident wanted to thank Officer Cruz for his kindness. Next, received from resident regarding Officer Volmar. Subject, this resident was very appreciative for all the support she received from Officer Volmar and the police department. Next, received from residents regarding Simsbury Police Department. Subject, the residents wanted to give their sincere and heartfelt thank you for the efforts of those involved in the search for a loved one. The kindness, support, empathy, and compassion of these individuals was amazing. They were extremely grateful to be in the hands of such a professional and capable group of people. End of letters.
Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda is approval of the April 17th, 2023 regular meeting minutes. I had a correction for number 3. It said Commissioner Grant and it was actually Spicer. So we're changing it in the official, but before we vote, I wanted to let you know of that change. So with that in mind, can I have a motion, please?
I'd like to move we approve the minutes as amended.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? In that case, all in favor of approving the April 17th minutes as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Sorry, they're sticking together. The next item on the agenda is the reports. I will start with mine. Our budget referendum is on Tuesday, May 16th. Part of that budget includes ours as the town budget. Specifically, we have our promotion for sergeant and new officer, as well as several of the capital items, the software for scheduling, the less lethal launchers, and the taser replacements. Does anyone have any questions? I think we're all pretty well versed in the budget, but I wanted to double check. So that is May 16th. The next item I wanted to tell you all about is the Citizens Police Academy. I graduated from the academy.
All right.
And it was a great experience.
Yeah.
Yes. Don't mean to brag, but I was pretty much top of the class.
High honors.
Exactly. But it was a great experience. We had 10 different sessions where they discussed different things at each meeting, whether it was the patrol function, dispatch. We'll get a taste of it tonight with Officer Donalski, telling us about the emergency response team. And so I just thought that it was a great experience, and I'd like to acknowledge the program. You guys did a fantastic job. And let you all know that if you are interested or you have anybody else that is interested, I would highly recommend it. So that is the Citizens Police Academy. The next item I wanted to mention is that my friend's daughter did yoga with Clifton, and apparently it was fantastic, so woohoo. She wanted me to mention that it was a great experience. The next item is our facility study. I did reach out to all of the partners involved and heard nothing back yet, but I have followed up on it and will continue to do so. And last but not least, our next meeting is June 12th. I know we're entering the summer season. I suspect we might have candidates at some point over the summer for any of our vacancies, so I wanted to make sure that people were around, and if you're not, please give us a heads up so that we can make sure we can schedule things and have a quorum should we have candidates to consider for any of our vacancies. Any discussion, questions, thoughts, concerns? All right, then moving on to the chief's report.
Speaking of vacancies, we are still working on filling those. Been doing more interviews and hopefully we should have some candidates to bring forward soon. An update on the officers that have been hired that are on field training. Officer Sheehan's expected to complete his training and be available to work in a solo group capacity by mid to late June. Officer Kenny is expected to complete his field training program in August. Both officers are doing extremely well in their training to date. An update on the sergeant's promotional process. We had 7 applicants for the position of sergeant. The written exam for the position was held on April 28th, and the second portion of the process, the practical skills portion, will be held on Friday, May 19th. For recent or upcoming events, this morning we were at the Hartford Police Department for the Police Unity Tour send-off ceremony. Officer P.J. Gronsky joined officers from around the region to begin their journey, which will culminate in Washington, D.C., to help honor the officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty over the years. As you mentioned, we also had the Citizens Police Academy graduation on Thursday, May 4th. We had 12 graduates in a very nice ceremony celebrating the culmination of their 10 weeks of learning about our agency and personnel. We also received a donation in the amount of $1,500 from the LICO group in memory of Dan Gerard, who was very appreciative of all the support our agency has provided to his company over the past 40 to 50 years. Dan's son and his wife came to the police department in order to present the check and the wish that the money be spent in support of protective equipment for our personnel. As we go into the preliminary reports, I'll kind of dovetail on that.
Okay. Anyone have any questions thus far?
How many vacancies do we still have?
We have 1 dispatch position and 2 officer positions.
Right.
Then-
And those are based on the 22 budget, correct?
Oh, sorry, yeah, 1 officer, 1 dispatch, 1 officer.
Yeah, 1 and 1, and they're,
Right, and then.
those are in the pipeline.
Correct.
Any that are
Any
to be
further
further approved here, if we're lucky enough, they'll be approved and we can move out on those in the second half of the year.
Do we have candidates for both of our current openings?
We do have candidates that were,
Vetting?
Yeah.
and so forth, okay. Any other questions? Then let us move on to the general and consolidated monthly reports. Regarding the consolidated and preliminary. Do you all have any questions, or do you want to wait until after here? Let us know.
so this is, we're trying to go into, trying to test out different formats as far as some of the information that we provide for the statistical analysis. So this is kind of really preliminary at this point. We're still working through some of the bugs of this, the system as we get familiarized with different software system. But, so this kind of gives an overview of different things that can be done. We're trying to customize different reports to make it more user-friendly as far as seeing in a more visual graphic format some of the information that we're trying to extrapolate from our CAD system. So if we like up on this, I know I apologize for the small scale of it. Again, we're still trying to work through it, but it's difficult to try and expand on the system that they have already as far as the sizing of it. I'm sure it's user error on my part, but I'm doing my best to try and pull it up so that it is useful. It might be helpful if you spin around, you can see it on the overview behind you. And this just kind of gives you again, a different, so we can customize and look at different years. So this is, obviously 2023 in April. This will give a breakdown of all the different calls that we have. And this graph over here shows the time of day that it comes in. So obviously, 100 hours is midnight, and then you work through the morning hours. And it's color coded to show where the higher volumes are. So obviously, anything in red is the highest volumes. So at this, for all the calls for service, 9 a.m., 11 a.m., and 4 o'clock p.m. would be our highest calls for different reports. Now we can pick like any, if we just wanted to see, say, family violence calls. For this month of April, we had 2, and reported at 1 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They may have been late reports. And so if we go, we can compare years. Right, so we have 2022 and 2023. As you can see, just the differences in family violence calls from January to July 2023. So again, it's a work in progress. It's trying to determine which reports need to be built, but there's also other. This is just one. Okay, so then we have another activity or a offense report.
When you say it's a work in progress, is that because it's information in? We're still inputting.
We're still learning the system. As far as I'm still learning the system, trying to figure out. It's very complex as far as trying to build these different reports.
Sure.
I'm not an expert on this, but I'm trying to.
But aside from just manipulation of the data,
Yep.
our data is inputted.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So it's extrapolating it from our CAD system, so the data is already in there.
Sure.
So it's just a matter of
Yeah.
connecting the
Yeah,
right
totally.
data tables and making sure that the information that we pull out of it is accurate.
Okay.
So that's why some of the stuff right now, in reviewing it, we found a couple errors that I have to go back and double check to make sure that find out where the information is coming from that's coming from the correct source.
Yeah.
So that we have accurate data.
Chief, I got a question if I may.
Sure.
Is this 12 months and then 4 months, or is these both 4 months, or are they?
Again, so this is why we didn't go live with it, because there are issues right now with actually no, this would be both 4 months. This is just a month of April. That's checked right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's comparing both months of April. But if we could go and check, say for the first quarter of the year, for both years, right? So 2022 versus 2023. It shows it shows an increase. But again, I caution you not to. Right now the data isn't completely. I want to make sure it's accurate. So, but the goal is to utilize this to be able to have like a side-by-side comparison, or just to, if we're interested in one specific type of call, what have you, that's just kind of provides it in a different format than we've been providing it in. So.
I think it's great.
So we can break it down in all crimes, and then just the part 1 crimes, which is the more severe crimes. Then we also have ones for, so the sample accident report, right, that we can do motor vehicle accidents by hour, so we can show you, what hours are the most prevalent for accidents, as well as the most common causes for accidents. But there's almost like endless as far as the possibilities go, as far as which reports you build. So if any of you have an idea about certain information that you want.
So my next question is, does it give any town statistics, meaning Simsbury resident involved or non-Simsbury resident, out-of-stater, those sorts of, and even, size of the town, so that we can kind of get an idea of number of calls based on volume, size of the.
So I don't know that it would have
Simsbury.
the size of the town would be there, and I don't.
So you're talking about like the demographics of the.
Demographics of the town, and then also town statistics.
But compared to other towns.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I thought you meant like.
So I don't believe that that information would be captured, because this is all information that's in our CAD
Yeah, it's
system.
internal.
So it would have to be, these are coming all from our cost for service, or, you know.
Yeah.
In which case, the demographics wouldn't necessarily be in there, I don't think. I'll double check on it.
In my mind, I just have like, vehicle thefts. A lot of vehicle thefts are from, out of Simsbury folks. They come in, steal vehicles and take off. And it's just,
Right.
I think those are interesting statistics to pull on some of these incidents.
So there may be a way, and I'm certainly not an expert at this point, for any reporting party, if they live in Simsbury, to extrapolate that somehow, and I'll find out if there is a way. But as far as just the straight demographics, the amount of people and things like that, I don't believe would be anything that would be captured. But if there's any type of crime reports or incident reports, I'm currently trying to build one for animal control, like bear involvement cases and things like that. But if you have any ideas of things that you'd like to see in a monthly report, please let me know, and because I'm going to end up going to other agencies or the computer company itself to try and get some assistance in building some of these reports. So please, by all means, just let me know what it is that the information that would be helpful and useful to you guys, and we'll make it happen if it's possible.
If speak for Travis, would it be, I don't know if that system would allow it, like the recovered stolen vehicle, recovered one in Hartford, you guys get a teletype saying you recovered your car. That's probably, would that be something that you could input in there to say, yes, this car was recovered in Hartford or Cromwell or Bristol?
It's not currently a field
Okay.
for entry, but I think what you're speaking to as far as the arrest, and our arrest numbers are low, and they're usually low on motor vehicle thefts. But that is reported in there, where they're from. Motor vehicle crashes and car stops are in there as far as resident or non-resident. But we can look into that to see, how far we can do it. But the numbers are low enough that we could produce that for car thefts. We have it in an Excel document right now of was the car recovered or not. So we could just put in there yes and where it was recovered if that was information that they were looking for.
Yeah.
You usually go home, steal a car, you go home. Close to that.
I did have an actual question about the reports that we had.
Okay.
The old school style.
Okay.
When I was doing my sit-in and dispatch, I don't know that we call it a sit-in, that sounds awkward now that I said it out loud. When I was observing the dispatch, there were calls about suspicious vehicles and folk wandering the towns, which were deduced to be water wars with the high schoolers. Which, as a parent, is very scary because I know down south, if you pull into the wrong driveway, you're going to get shot. So my question is, is there, when I'm looking at these, criminal mischief, we're not, there's no way to log what these calls, the calls that are for water wars versus legitimate calls of suspicious folks? Is there a way to differentiate? Do you know what I'm like parsing out the
Right.
calls that are that versus other?
Right, so we have an initial call that will come in,
Right.
and then the actual call. So the initial call may be criminal mischief, right? And then the
Right.
actual call, they may determine, now, it depends, because depending on what actually happens, it may still fit under, even though it's a
Right.
water wars incident,
Right.
it may still fill the elements of a criminal mischief. However, there's certain times when calls come in that may be labeled as one thing and then changed, once they get more information. and determine that, no, this isn't exactly what happened, and that's the actual call. So there is a
I mean, we
differentiation.
still are responding and doing all
Correct.
of the stuff
Right.
that we need to do, but it's just,
So what we can do is there's CAD remarks, there's a remark section.
yes.
Whether the call came in as A and ends up being B, or it's A and it's A, regardless of what it is, we could enter that in water waters in CAD remarks section. And it is searchable, it's just,
Funky?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's probably a good way to put it. But it is possible, you know, so whether it's a suspicious person, we're gonna find out everything's perfectly fine, we could put that in, it's just a matter of remembering to do that it's water
Right.
waters, and then being able to find that data, sometimes it's a little challenging.
Just, it made me very nervous. It's like, oh my gosh, kids wandering the streets. That was my question. We are doing the monthly reports.
Okay.
So, do you want a second?
You can go on. Can we reserve and look and call, go back to
Absolutely.
it if I have a question?
Absolutely.
So I've got a question about the motor vehicle accidents. That looks like a good news story for the month of March. Is that due to more citations being passed out, or like was there a cause and effect, or is it just sometimes it's a sine wave and sometimes it is what it is?
I mean, as far as the accidents,
Yeah, it just looked like number of accidents, they were down.
Way down.
Way down over the kind of course of January, March. Looked like compared to last year. Maybe that's just weather related. Maybe it's conditions. I don't know.
you know, I mean, it's difficult to say, obviously, you know, what the cause is, but we'd like to think that the increased enforcement would be having an effect, because that's really why we're out there, is to
Yeah.
try and, you know, change driver behavior and reduce the accidents. So,
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Is like, you know, as we look at a manpower study, and hey, actually we applied more man hours to traffic, and we're seeing a direct correlation and lower accidents. Maybe we've got an argument, more powerful argument.
and that's the whole purpose of trying to get out there and change driver behaviors to make the roadway safer. So hopefully the trend continues and continue to see reduction in the accidents.
This is a tangential question on that. How's our report coming? Staff, where are we at with that?
So it is in their hands right now for the final version.
They're the consultants.
The consultants, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
And do we have any projected time of arrival?
I expect pretty soon. So we're in communication, so I would expect that we should see something pretty soon.
Had discussions with them on various items, or?
Very limited, just sort of questions going back and forth. Some of it's sort of technical and maybe terms that we're not familiar with, like, so, you know, provide a little bit of an explanation of what does
Sure.
this mean, you know, things like that.
So maybe by next month?
I would think so.
Good.
Is there anything in here you think we should pay attention to? Anything that you find alarming or amazing?
Yeah, no.
When I mentioned the budget earlier, I did not touch on two items that were mentioned in the minutes that Commissioner Grant had a question about. So could you just give a brief recap on the congressional spending things we applied for that would go towards dispatch software and
Great.
the door locking systems?
Sure. Yeah. So we have applied for that, and it was $112,000. Roughly 12,000 of it was, I believe, the initial for the EMD software, which is a change from using our current flip cards for emergency medical dispatch to a digital format. We would use the flip cards as backup. And then the door access system is both interior and exterior doors in the entire town hall. I have no idea when we're going to hear back from that. The last congressional directed spending that we put in for was May of '21, and it's a difficult process. We're just getting around to now being able to spend some of that money. Like I said, it's a really complicated process to get there. I don't know. I expect we will find out early fall whether we have been approved for that or not. And then if it happens like it did the last time, it'll be a little bit longer before we figure out when we'll have access to those funds.
And those are separate than the budget that we're voting on Tuesday.
Okay.
So this
Right,
is
separate.
a separate grant.
Okay.
And can you tell me the name of those funds again? Was it COVID funds or what
No,
was
it
the
was
title of?
just congressional directed spending.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we write directly to our senators and put in a request for this. And then if it's moved forward, then we will have an application to fill out. The Board of Selectmen did approve us going through this process because it will potentially have a,
Positive impact on the facilities here.
most definitely, but also an operating budget increase
Yeah.
in the future. Not for the doors, but for the EMD software. And it was minimal, $1,200, $1,600 a year. Well worth it.
And then the 42 that for the cops grant?
Yep, so the COPS grant, we are in the process with that. That is a little bit more complicated to explain, except the end number is, if we are approved for it, it's a competitive process. If we are approved by the federal government, they will provide us a maximum of 41 and change, or almost $42,000 for each new police officer that we hire for a 3-year period.
And then how will we sustain that going after the 3 years? You know, like how will we, so that we're not hiring someone that we're no longer going to be able to afford to keep on?
Right, so we can't hire that, until the funding is there. So
Mhm.
this board says we want to hire, and the other boards say we will fund and approve also, then they're committing to at least 3 years of having that officer or officers. And as we have been, looking for more officers throughout the years, I think it's a great time to then have this opportunity to almost feather in additional officers, and we did put in 4 too.
Okay, I'm a little nervous about doing that if we don't have a way of being able to afford them
Right.
post the 3
You mean
years.
we
So that
get
has been
it for 1 year and then we gotta say,
No, yeah, like that would be really bad
Yeah.
for us and for the officer.
I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when we go through all these Board of Finance and Board of Selectmen meetings,
Mhm.
all along, they consider, okay, well, you have to be able to fund the entire position
Right.
before, it doesn't matter if you're getting a grant, like, they have to approve. So if we get the $42,000, and we're gonna do even math for Jenna, and it's $102,000 for an officer, they say, you have to have the 102 in your budget, not just the 60 to make up that difference. So if we approve it and then it gets submitted, all of the boards along, like the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance, will have to approve the entire amount in perpetuity, like understanding that that's part of our operating budget from there on, so that the $42,000 is not considered part of our operating budget. Am I explaining that right?
Yeah, and I don't know necessarily if they have to do that,
Okay.
but they have to have a commitment. Like this board has already committed year after year, but the other boards have to commit, this is something that they want to do, and not just for a 3-year period. The intention of this is not a temporary
Right.
hire or to replace it and then by attrition allow others to leave. It's to increase our community service philosophy and ability to respond to crime, prevent crime. So it's a commitment all around.
Okay.
not seen as a temporary, almost like a grant maybe, like a grant opportunity for 3 years. It's not looked at as that. This is a commitment.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Good question.
All right. In that case, we'll move on to new business. Anyone have any new business? Okay. Move on to the next item, old business. Anyone have any old business? Okay.
Well, we're waiting for stuff to come in. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then we will move on to the next item of our agenda, presentation, overview of the department participation in the North Central Regional Emergency Services Team. I will turn it over to you and your exciting bag of tricks.
Prior to that, hold on.
Oh, oh, hold on.
I thought this would be a good opportunity since.
You want to actually introduce?
We have some, yes. So we have some newer members of the commission who might not know Officer Janowski. Just thought it'd be a good opportunity to give a little brief overview on him and a little bio and you know, get to know him a little bit. For those of you who never met Officer Janowski, I just want to take a minute to tell you a little bit about him. He's been a police officer with us since October of 2018. Prior to joining us, Kyle was a police officer in Torrington for about 1.5 years. He also served 5 years in the U.S. Navy Reserve, where he was a tactical craft engineer, as well as a Master at Arms, graduating at the top of his class. He also received the Distinguished Honor Graduate Award. Kyle grew up in Simsbury and graduated from Simsbury High School. Since joining the Simsbury Police Department, Kyle quickly earned the respect of his fellow officers, supervisors, and department personnel, as well as the citizenry of Simsbury. Over the years that he has been a Simsbury police officer, he has received numerous letters of appreciation from the community. While he tends to have a humble, quiet, and calm demeanor, Officer Janowski speaks loudly with his exceptional work and service that he provides each and every day here at the police department to the Simsbury community. Partly due to this calm demeanor and dedication, excellent work product, and team philosophy, Kyle was selected approximately 1.5 years ago to become a member of the North Central Emergency Services Team, which he's here to provide you with a brief overview on tonight. So I present to you, Officer Janowski.
That was much nicer than me saying, how about it? Well done.
So I'll just, got a couple of things here that I'll show that helps better explain the things that we do. And also just give you a brief overview of everything. So the team I'm a part of is the North Central Emergency Services Team. So just like our other regional teams, it's comprised of 9 towns, comprised of members from departments in those towns. So North Central is Granby, Suffield, Bloomfield, Farmington, Windsor, Windsor Locks, Canton. You got all 9 there. Avon. That's good. So yeah, it's members from all those police departments that make up this team. We train twice a month, every other Thursday, and the selection process, like Chief said, I've only been on for 1.5 years, but the selection process is there's an opening inside of the department, you put in for it, there's an oral board usually of current and former team members. You'll be graded on that oral board, and then from there you have to pass a physical test and a shooting test. After all that, then you go to the team, and then you have to pass their shooting test, their physical test, so it's a different test. Yeah, we train every other Thursday, and there's specialty members inside the team. So for our medical, we have doctors, like actual doctors from Hartford Hospital and St. Mary's. And there's snipers inside the team that go through extra training, and also explosive breachers that go through extra training. So for our training, once you're selected, you go to the Capital Region SWAT school. That's about 2 weeks long, and that's just a very basic school, all the basics of what the job is. You do a lot of the learning is during the training, because there's a lot of members that have been doing it for a long time and they have a lot of chemistry together. And so my goal was just to try to come onto that team as seamless as possible. But there's definitely, you can tell they've been doing it for a while and they're really good at what they do. If you have any questions at any point, just let me know.
Do you have a specific role?
Just an assaulter, just no secondary sort of position.
And you are our sole rep for our police department?
There's
We have
three members.
Three, I'm sorry, I missed
Yeah.
that.
Myself, Sergeant Lassard, and Lieutenant Chase.
Okay.
Lieutenant Chase has been on the longest, so I could see the benefits of it even on the patrol side when I worked with Lieutenant Chase when he was my sergeant, and we'd have a call that was kind of reaching outside of the limits of what patrol could handle. He knew how to handle it based on his training and experience, and it really helped the rest of us get through that type of call. But yeah, none of us are any secondary role right now.
I'm sorry to hit you with questions here. Is this funded through, does each town provide a certain amount of funding, and then what's the chain of command look like? Who's in charge of making the decisions for the team?
So yeah, each town contributes to the team. I couldn't really tell you exactly how much.
$5,000 annually for all of the regional teams.
Okay.
If we want to put extra members on the team, does our contribution go up?
No.
And so who's overall responsible, the person in charge, and how do they get tasked to perform?
Well, we have the overall commander is Chief Melanson in Windsor, and then from there is officers in Avon that are kind of like at the field commander, I guess you could say, like on the ground, making those decisions. And then of course we have like team leaders and assistant team leaders, and it just kind of rolls down to everybody else.
And so
within the North Central region, there are chiefs that are assigned oversight to certain teams, like the action and reconstruction team, the emergency services team, the drone team. So that chief is Chief Melanson out of Windsor. And then, as Cal was saying, there's been a commander of the team, and there are team leaders and assistant team leaders. There's been some change over the years as far as that structure, but it's been like that for quite some time.
How does people Lansing get to be there?
The chiefs get together and decide who has responsibility over.
Who's stuck this year? Gotcha. Okay.
They arm wrestle.
Yeah.
And all the assets for action, whether it's weapons, helicopters, vehicles, they come from those individual towns, or is there a built up fund that?
It's collective. So
Yeah.
the North Central teams have a fund. It's collective. It's based on the annual contributions. It's based on grants. There are some departments that are able to provide a little bit more, but as far as I think some of the gear that he's going to show you is bought all regionally. Some of it is actually leased. I think at least one piece of equipment is leased.
And over the last 5-10 years, how often have we had to call you guys into action?
So I've only been on for about a little over a year, 6 to 8 times. But things, just feeling other people on the team, I guess things have slowed down in terms of traditional work with like search warrants and things like that. So all of the call-outs in the last year and a half have been like critical incidents, I guess you could say, and not so much like planned warrants.
What kind of calls are you guys going on?
So generally it's any type of, again, I don't really make those calls because I'm not like higher up, but it's anything that kind of, that patrol can't handle on their own. So usually if we have an incident where we need help, we can ask for mutual aid from other towns. and that's kind of our first response. Like, we can get guys from Canton or Granby or Avon here quick to help us. But then if we kind of determine and it meets the threshold of calling up the team, you know, you have like 20 plus guys showing up that have a higher level of training that are able to help. So I guess the types of calls that I've been on would be like a barricaded subject. There's been a couple of swatting calls. I'm sure you've heard of those, where it's like a fake call. A couple of high risk people with like warrants and like, you know, armed robbery and stuff like that. Yeah, I would say mostly barricaded subjects type.
And is there a communication system, or is it just a cell phone and you notify our department, hey, I've got a call?
Oh, when we get called out?
Yep.
Yeah, we have, we use the Everbridge system, which will get a notification on our phone. We'll get a phone call and a text saying where to go and that there's the team's been activated. And we also have like a group chat within ourselves. So the commanders will sometimes put like, hey, this is what we got.
And is there some sort of a regional patch or an armband or something that identifies you as,
Yes.
hey, I'm in another town, but I'm supposed to be here?
Yeah, just says North Central Emergency Services Team.
So it's a vest of some sort?
It's a patch.
Oh, a patch.
Yeah, that we kind of throw on our uniform.
Great.
Mhm.
Terrific.
That
So
sounds so exciting.
So how the call out happens is, you know, a shift supervisor may recognize the need for not just additional personnel, but additional highly trained personnel. And then they would normally, within their department, notify their next person up, who will then authorize a call to, is it Farmington that does the call outs now?
I believe so.
It used to be Bloomington, but Farmington does the call outs. A commander will then touch base with that department and find the particulars, use a matrix to figure out whether they're coming out or not and what they need for supplies. And then everybody will be, you know, provided with a rendezvous location and some orders on things. And then it's quite a process to watch unfold, where you've got officers looking for intel, you've got other members, like the crisis negotiators often come out at the same time, and they're performing an intel function, all going to support like the safest, best solution to the problem.
And in your tenure, have we had to leverage the regional
Yes.
force?
Yes, several times.
Yeah.
I do have to step out. One thing before I do is, and Officer Janowski was alluding to what he saw with Lieutenant Chase. All these guys and women who are assigned to these regional teams bring back so much to us. And, you know, Kyle is just another example. So when we go through any of our trainings, he is trained much more than any of the other officers in safety and in the latest in tactics. And he spreads that throughout the shift, he spreads that throughout the department, and it's a huge benefit to all of us. It's a much safer practice in 2023 than it was in 2013 and than it was in 2003. It's just grown significantly. And in the past, we haven't had members on those teams of rank, and we decided to keep that going, like Lieutenant Chase and Sergeant Lassard, because that instruction then comes from a different perspective, and it comes from a different place of authority, which is just a benefit to all of us.
Yeah, like Chief was saying, just me personally working on patrol, Lieutenant Chase would be, back then he was a sergeant, and we'd have a call that at you know, upon hearing it, you're like, how do we handle this? Lieutenant Chase knows exactly which steps to take. He knows what meets the criteria for calling out the team, and you feel a lot more confident in handling a situation when you have someone like him that's like telling you this is what we're gonna do. Yeah, I'll just show a couple things in here. So traditionally, you know, they called SWAT, they kind of go away from that term and call EST. but special weapons and tactics, it's not so much weapons. In terms of weapons, it would probably be like chemical munitions. So like on patrol here, we don't carry any sort of like tear gas or launchers for tear gas or anything like that, or OC, like handheld OC. So we all have gas. So these are just everything that I'm showing you. Like we would not have on patrol. So we all in the team have our gas masks in case we have to deploy chemical munitions. That way, obviously, we don't get cross-contaminated. So that's just something that the team can do that patrol can't. So this is very, it's for the team. Like I said, we have our uniforms. We wear green, Ranger green. We each have our own vests. So on patrol, we're lucky enough, I know some towns don't at all, but we're lucky enough where we have, on patrol, we have our own vests in the car for like critical incidents. So we have rifles in the car, we have our own vests in the car. Plate carriers, this is the plate carrier just for the team, and it's set up differently for the team. So we have, well, my radio's charging, but my radio for the team here, push to talk, stuff like drag straps and things that you wouldn't have on patrol. The team kind of has some sort of procedure in telling you how they want stuff set up, so it's kind of uniform.
How heavy is your belly?
I don't know.
I mean,
That's not too bad.
it looks like you're.
That's nothing too crazy. I actually was lucky enough to get newer, like the plates in here, the body armor, it's a lot lighter. Because when I was first on, I had like all the old stuff and it's really heavy. So this is nice to have. Just a couple more things. Just a helmet that you wouldn't have on patrol. We do have helmets in the car. This is also a ballistic helmet, but again, it's set up for the team. So we have, this is what we use for communicating. So I can bring these down to my ear. Not only I can talk, I can hear the radio through this, and also it protects my ears. So I don't have to be screaming during loud noises and things like that. We talk through this. It provides us ear protection. We have mounts here for the night vision. I think that's the thing that this is one of the things that is leased through the DoD. It's very expensive. But we're lucky enough on the team to have night vision, which is really helpful in some situations, and it's a force multiplier for sure. But yeah, so for the training, we go to a Capital Region SWAT school, which is in Manchester, and then once you've been in a team for about a year, they've kind of decided, they've kind of got past that point of you're going to stay, you're not going to stay. And we all get sent to a place called Darcy in Arkansas, Direct Action Resource Center. It's where we get a lot of our SOPs from in terms of the team. So for SWAT, Special Weapons and Tactics, I would say it's half and half. We do a lot of shooting, like we train every other Thursday, so we do a lot of shooting, but we also do a lot of tactics, SOP stuff, and that's really the harder part, especially me trying to make like a seamless transition into a team of guys that can flow through a building, and I try not to mess up and get in the way. Yeah, this is just like all this stuff is for the team. I would not have any of this stuff if I wasn't the team. So if there's situations where the team's needed, we not only come with a bunch of guys, but all this gear and also the training. So patrol wouldn't have all these setups, gas masks, we have flashbangs, which, can just help disorient people.
And you have all of that gear with you all the time in case you get called out.
Yeah, I keep this in the armory because I'm lucky enough to live in town, so I'm not too far away. Like if some guys work in Windsor and they live in, Burlington or something, they might keep their stuff with them because they don't want to go all the way to work, and then maybe they call out to a couple towns closer, So I just keep the stuff in the armory. If we get activated, I'll just come here, get all my stuff on, and head to where they tell me to go.
Do you wear your body cam?
Yes.
All of that?
Yeah.
The town body cam, like the?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so this mount right here is for the body camera.
Okay.
That's a big thing, is to make sure we have that on, even in a SWAT function.
I see you got a med kit. Do you guys each wear tourniquets?
Yeah, so my belt it's I'm not gonna take it out because it's like underneath here is my belt, and I have it kind of set up the same way as my patrol belt, where I have a tourniquet right here, so I can access it from both hands, but it's also right here on the belt. And so I have the tourniquet in my belt. I have an IFAC right here. Just has very basic stuff. And like I said earlier, we're very lucky to have like actual doctors as our medics. So we get a call out, at least one of them is going to show up and they have their big med bag, and that's the person that you want
Sure, they
there.
can triage anything right away.
Yeah. That's the person you want there, and they have a lot of experience doing it. So
If you decide you want to be the explosive breacher, I don't know if that's the right word. If you
Yep.
want to be that, can you apply now to do that in your team, or are you slotted in as where you are and you can't change
yeah, so
specialties?
yes, I can put in for that. There's a lot of different factors, because it's extra training a month. So we train twice a month just as a team.
Right.
If you're a sniper or breacher, you have to train an extra day a month. So that would have to, that's have to get cleared by your own department. And then you have to go to extra training in Arkansas for breaching. And I think the snipers are in New Hampshire or something.
Thank you for stepping
I
up, being
have
a
a
duty.
question.
It's terrific.
Yeah, it's
So you said that you guys come with the training when you go on calls, specialized training that the regular patrol
Yeah.
officers would. You guys bring your gear with you as well to
Yes.
those?
Yep.
Okay.
yeah, we always wear this stuff.
I know, but I'm talking about like if it was a call out here in Simsbury, would you still bring that gear?
All of this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like I can't say enough the times that I've been with Chase where a situation comes in and we're like you hear what's going on and your mind kind of goes blank. Him being on the team for such a long time and knowing the situations, knows what direction to take, and it really helps everybody's confidence. It's not so much unknown because he knows what to do. He's been here before, so.
Any more questions?
No, I think it's great that we participate, that you do that, take it on your personal chore to do that. I think it's terrific for you and for the department.
Right, the leadership that they get out of that is
Yeah.
awesome.
If we have more officers approved, would we be able to send more officers to this specific?
Potentially, we have a draw, if there's always we get requests for additional manpower in the AFMARS team, which is the accident reconstruction team, or the crisis negotiators, drone team. So there's a lot of, competing interests. Thank you very much, Kyle.
Yep.
For our personnel.
Right.
So it's great because it provides them with career opportunities to do different things and some diversity in assignment, so that they're getting specialized training, they're getting some diversified work experience, but it also draws upon our resources as well here. So it's a balance as far as how many officers can we contribute to. You want to make sure that all the towns are trying to contribute equally, so that we're not just supporting or the main supporter of any of the regional teams. You want to make sure that the other towns contribute accordingly as well, so that we're not fronting the loss and the burden of everything.
Well, you hear him speak, and I think, yes, I want everyone to have as much
Right.
training as they can. Let's flip them.
So it's
Be
a
awesome
balance.
Simsbury
It
officers.
is.
Right.
So, as our numbers get up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And, ideally, we would be able to assign more personnel to all the different units, and provide maybe some other things that we've never or haven't contributed to recently.
Are there other units other than the
Well,
three
there's-
that we're in?
Yeah, there are. there's,
Talk to
but I
me.
should say there's
Oh!
different task forces and things like that, which, we might not get the bang for the buck here, but
Okay.
but, there's the Stolen Motor Vehicle Task Force, there's a computer forensics, unit that's run out of Manchester, it's a regional unit.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different opportunities there, there's, the DEA has an opportunity for officers to go and become task force members.
Okay.
So there's a variety of different assignments that, but some of those are are full-time assignments, so.
So you'd lose the.
We'd be losing
Okay.
them.
Well, we don't want those ones.
Right, but it also you also do gain valuable investigator experience as well as, different options, different things that come about with it. Like the DEA task force officer, they get incredible experience working with the DEA and narcotics, and they do get a chunk of asset forfeiture money that gets seized. That's not why we would do it, but I mean it helps offset some of the costs and things but we would be losing that person from dedicated patrol. So it's a give and
The
take
balance.
and a balance that we're constantly trying to review to say, okay, what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, and can we afford to not necessarily financially, but can we afford manpower wise to assign more person, because then it's more training, more time off, then it's a higher overtime to backfill, so it's all in. But as you can see, I mean, it's a great resource for us and a great opportunity for them to expand their careers, gain valuable experience that they can utilize, not necessarily only on those calls, but when they, for those calls that might not rise to the level of a call out.
Is it a recruiting tool? Like when we're looking to hire new officers, is the fact that
It
we
is.
have people on the.
It is, because that provides a potential opportunity for new officers to get into later on.
Any other questions? Thoughts, concerns? Anything else on the agenda? Anybody want to? Okay, in that case, I will entertain any motions.
I'd like to move that we adjourn at 5:57 p.m.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.